we are still having the gender war. So I said, let's just go through a breakdown. And from my perspective and what I've seen through search, why are we having such a divide between men and women when actually we really need each other to make this thing work, especially when it comes to the Black community? Now, this is deep rooted because it goes way back into childhood. uh, when mom and dad got together, right? Say if they got together and they were dating, kicking it, and they had you, you know, and you sometimes you weren't planned. So here you go, you're kind of scrambling as a mom and dad trying to figure out what to do, and neither one of them might not really be in the healthiest place when it comes to having kids. So then there's this issue, this tension between the mom and dad, right? And a lot of times, unfortunately, the mom end up with the child. And the dad, sometimes he's in the picture, sometimes he's not. It just depends on which man she's with. Now, their relationship might not be the healthiest. So over time, the child might end up being robbed of the father, right? So you have these differences, and a lot of times you don't find out about these things until you're older in life, and then you start to have the conversations with mom about what happened. And then she starts to tell you, maybe she don't even tell you everything. Maybe she just tell you some things because she might feel ashamed of some stuff, right? If you think about it, how many of our parents actually go to therapy uh, in this day and age where they can actually express themselves to the therapist, and maybe some things they might feel guilty about? And our parents, they might not even go to therapy, so let alone them discussing with you about what happened to them when your dad and your mom got together and the relationship didn't work out. Are you tired of dating the same person, just different faces? Are you tired of people wasting your time in this whole dating process? Do you desire to marry one day? I created this 5-part video series entitled Dating Intentionally: 5 Ways to Know They Are the One for You. You can get it now in the comment section below. You will see it is 5, the number 5, ways to know podia.com. I created this 5-part video series with you in mind. Now let's get back into today's podcast episode. So again, this is deep rooted. I wonder if you have a little boy. I wonder if mom is still having some resentment or bitterness towards the father. So she talked about how negative or how bad men are, right? Men aren't any good, or there's always some kind of negative connotation when it comes to being a man or being a father. So when the little boy, when he hears this over and over again, sometimes I wonder if it takes away from how he feel as a young man, or maybe he associate everything with being a male as bad. So sometimes he might even have that identity issue where he's like, I don't even know if I want to go through this whole boy or manhood thing because all I hear is bad. It's just like it's like being Black, right? A lot of times you hear Black as something negative, the black sheep of the family. And sometimes that's even deep within us in our own community and the way we see ourselves. Sometimes we even think less of ourselves because of the term Black just brings a negative connotation to it. So I wonder if our little boys think like that sometimes when they constantly hear mom or other women talk about how bad men are or how bad they have done them. From a girl's perspective, right? Say if you're a girl, you get older, you go to college, you get the degree, because a lot of times this is what happened with the young ladies. They go to school, they get straight A's, they go to college, they get the degree, they get the house, they get the car, they get all the accolades, they get the 6-figure income jobs. But then in this dating process, you have a lot of struggle with men. So over time, before you even get married, sometimes that have a negative connotation too, because most of the men that you date, you really haven't had great experiences with them. So sometimes even women are a little hesitant about getting into the whole marrying, because even from a kid, you were taught that you don't depend on a man because mom had issues. And she's like, make sure you get your degree, get your own. I heard a pastor, an old pastor of mine that's in Cleveland, Ohio, and he was talking about how maybe you have to scale back as a woman as far as the wants that you want in a man, simply because times have changed. Because you make money, you got your car, you got your house, and you got the degree, you got all the accolades. But when it comes to the man, and I'm going to talk about this as well, not meeting your requirements, because you might want a man that have a degree, you might want a man that makes six figures, you might want, I talked about this before, the attraction, you got to have that first, right? So sometimes women don't like short men, they don't like men as bald, it just depends. And so sometimes you might have to scale back because you might not be able to get all these things in one man. And I wanted to do some research about the differences between men and women when it comes to finishing college. And I'm going somewhere. According to Pew Research Center, 34% of men without a bachelor degree says that a major reason why they didn't complete college is just they didn't want to. I found that interesting. 26% of men say a major reason why they don't have a 4-year college degree is that they didn't need more education for the job or career they wanted. And I find that interesting too, because sometimes with men, we look at our value as far as what we can make. So we get into the workforce and we start working at an early age. And sometimes it just doesn't require a degree. And then sometimes we get comfortable in our jobs. And next thing you know, you're there for a while, but you didn't finish your degree because it really didn't require much of you as far as in the field of education. Also, according to Pew Research Center, it says men and women are about equally likely to say needing work to help support their family was a major impediment into finishing college. So women have that kind of issue too, where they might not finish school because it was required of them that they needed to work because maybe they need to support a family because of financial struggles. Now, as I was doing this research, I believe, this is just my opinion, I could be wrong, I think men maybe in their late 20s and up to their early 40s, I believe that generation has been like coddled. I don't, and this is just from what I've seen, what I've read. And of course, I grew up in a generation of accountability, but a lot of men didn't get the things that I had. Like my mom was a serious disciplinarian, even though my dad was in and out of my life. My mom was really serious about us being proactive when it came to providing and taking care of our families. So a lot of guys didn't get that. Sometimes when men are coddled, a lot of times it's because mom, and this isn't blaming women, so don't come for me in the comment section, but mom makes sure that she looks out for her boy. She's always protecting him, always in mommy mode. And a lot of times when he get older, she's still looking out for him. She's still doing stuff for him, opposed to he could be old enough to do stuff that he needs to do, but mom is in this protection mode and dad isn't there to correct him. So it's easy for him to be a mama's boy, not in the, I understand mama's boys. I'm not always saying this as a bad thing, because there's a lot of men that are mama's boys that actually take care of their business, but they go from mom to a woman expecting her to do everything that their mom did. And some guys look for that. Unfortunately, they look for that mom to take care of them because that's what they're used to. So that's the unfortunate part when it comes to men and women and why they are separated, because women feel that they're being cheated. And sometimes men just kind of live in this fantasy world that somebody just supposed to take care of them because mom has been doing it for years. So when they get out in the dating field, women feel like they're being cheated. Another reason why men and women are divided is because there's too much heartbreak from past relationships. By the time you make it to the altar, if you make it to the altar, there's this whole dating process where women have horror stories about what they've been through with men in this dating process. So they might give a guy a chance because they are in hoping that this guy isn't like everybody else. So they give him a chance. He might let her down. And again, this isn't all men, isn't all women. I'm just saying in a lot of cases. So women have these struggles about what they feel about men in these relationships. And it kind of jade their view on marriage, because they're like, if he's not going to be like this when we're dating, I mean, are we even going to get married? Because our relationship is bad. It's like if you're going to high school and high school is kicking your butt, why go to college, right? So a lot of this comes from heartbreak. And then during this time when we're dating, sometimes kids come into play. And what happens is, because you're heartbroken, we repeat the same cycle that mom had. So now here it is, we bringing up another generation of kids where maybe we coddling a son, or maybe we teaching our daughters to be independent, not to look for a man, make sure that you take care of your own. And I understand, but we have to break this cycle somewhere. And I'm going to record another video on I found this interesting Facebook post the other day, and it's talking about having children out of wedlock. It's going to be controversial, but it's okay. I'm willing to talk about it. So sometimes these people, they turn into bitter, sour people because they are so used to people running over them, or they just whole dating experience has been bad. So they turn into bitter people. Some of these people, unfortunately, they get platforms on social media because misery love company. So if men and women, they bitter and they have a lot of resentment. So they spew anger and all these different things towards the opposite sex. And since misery love company, they attract a large crowd of people, because healthy relationships really doesn't do well on social media. That's really not an attention. That really doesn't grab a lot of attention like negative negative relationship talk, or people who have a lot of bitterness. So they're going to continually spew that hate because it helps them get more views. It helps people to they get larger audiences, and the more they talk about their hurt and their pain, and because you've had a bad experience, you can identify with that, so you continue to support it. And then we raise our kids in this thinking that they're going to change if we live in this life on autopilot. Like, you just can't just talk negative about the opposite sex and not expect for your kids to hear that, or for that to be ingrained in them. So we keep playing this blame game, but we have to make some changes. So what are we going to do to make the changes so that way we can be on the same page when it comes to men and women, so we can get over this whole gender war thing? Because like I said at the beginning, we're going to need each other. One thing that I have learned over time, and I tell people this time and time again, I'm grateful for mentors, men who helped call me out on my mess whenever I got out of line, because I wasn't acting right. I wasn't being a man of high value and character and moral values. So I'm grateful for those men. So we need that with our men. We need that with our women as well. And that's why I'm here doing this, because I'm paying it forward, because I'm grateful for the men that God has put in my life. So this is what I'm doing to help break this chain of negativity, because we're raising up kids behind us, and we need to do better so they can understand that God made us interdependent, not independent, because we need each other. Like I said before, leave a comment below. Let me know, what can we do? Maybe you have a better idea what we can do as far as getting over this gender war with men and women, because we hear it on social media so much. I would love to hear in the comment section. Make sure you leave a rating and review if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other streaming platform. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you are watching this via YouTube. I would love to hear what you have to say. And don't forget, the ratings are very important. People, please start leaving ratings and reviews. I would love to hear what you have to say on Apple Podcasts, because that's going to help me find me higher in the rankings when people look up podcasts on relationships or pre-engagement or divorce and things that I discuss. So please leave a review. And I'm thinking maybe even throwing in some gift cards or something like that. Or maybe I'll shout you out on the podcast when you leave a rating and review, so I could show you a little love. This is Shon Hyneman at It's Scary to Remarry, wanting you to love fearlessly. I am your premier pre-engagement coach. Talk to you soon, people. Take care.